Joe, great to meet you and great to chat. I guess I know you guys haven't trained yet, but how is the team looking ahead of this game?
Yeah, we're looking good. We've had a good week's prep. It's been a short turnaround from the weekend's game. Obviously, playing midweek is tough to do because you have to concentrate on the weekend's game previous to that. So we've had a short turnaround. We've had to try and mix between preparing for Dundee United and preparing for Arsenal, and that looks very different for us. So it's been a challenge trying to mix the two in preparation style, but I think we've done the best of we can. You listen to Nick, and you know she's happy with how training's gone right up to now. We've got another training session out there, so yeah, we're happy with where it's at the moment.
And there's no new injuries or anything to report?
There is a couple. We do have a couple of new injuries, but we're waiting to see the severity of those before we mention anything.
Lovely, thank you. And I guess in terms of, you mentioned there that it's very different the preparation for Dundee and Arsenal. Yeah. What are there some of those differences look like? Because obviously when you're playing so regularly in the Scottish League and then you're now taking your Champions League games all of a sudden, yeah. What are some of those differences like?
Well, you're going and playing against a part-time team in Scotland to playing against a fully elite team coming and playing against Arsenal that have been full-time professional team for many years now. So, you know, the level of preparation has to look slightly different. Against Dundee, we was likely to have the lion's share of possession. We know that probably won't be the case coming into Arsenal, even though we do like to possess the ball. We're realistic in Arsenal like to do that as well. So it's going to be look a lot different in and out of possession. So we've had to work between the two. We've got to do as much as we can to respect both opponents. But as always, we look at how we can hurt the opposition and do our work on that side as well.
I think in so many ways, fans who are watching this game probably think this should be a win for Arsenal. What we've seen just last year when Arsenal were in the same position against Paris, that's not necessarily the case, especially when the Champions League qualifier comes before the season starts for Arsenal. Do you think that's going to be an advantage coming into this game where you've already started your season?
Yeah, I think it would have been if it hadn't happened to Arsenal last year. I think their preparations into this game might look slightly different to what it potentially did last year. I don't know their preparations last year. But, you know, I think they probably got surprised a little bit at this stage last year. And they definitely won't be wanting to do the same again. So I'm expecting full preparations to go our way against those guys tomorrow.
You spoke quite fondly of your time at Arsenal, especially the work they're doing, and early on to promote the women's team, way before anyone else was doing it. And it sounds like you're on a path to doing something very similar with the Rangers. How is that, I guess, implemented your experiences as a player? Do you think that's come across in your coaching in some type of way?
Hugely. You know, I think it's really important that you remember those good things that coaches and teams do. You know, we're very easy to remember the bad things and things what not to do because we've all learnt those as well. But I think it's really important that you look back on the good memories and you remember what teams are doing really well and how they made you feel at that point in time. And I think me trying to keep my play ahead there and thereabouts as much as possible, even though the years are ticking by from me retiring, I think it's really important that you try and keep that memory there of going, I know how they feel in this moment, I know what they'll be feeling right now, I kind of know what they probably need, because I knew how I felt coming to playing against Arsenal, you know, and I used to do it a couple of times a season, and we'd meet each other in cup competitions more regularly than not. So, you know, it's a difficult team to play against, and sometimes the unknown can bring a little bit of fear, but, you know, trying to relax my team and as you hear Nicola say, that we feel like we're prepared well, is the best that we can do. And I think that's the important thing of probably remembering how they're feeling at this moment in time and trying to help that as much as possible.
Does this rank up there in terms of your managerial highlights, like playing against the team that you knew as a player and you know, bringing your new team to guess over?
Yeah, definitely. You know, I'm probably a little bit more relaxed than the players are. I haven't got to be the one to run around for 90 plus minutes, so it's a little bit easy on me, maybe not on my heart rate, but on the legs and lungs definitely, but it definitely brings that level of excitement. For me, I always my ambition is to be the best, and I want to coach at the best level possible. And I've never been shy of doing the work along the way. And I think that's just something that definitely reflects into my players. They're all hungry to be the best and want to be the best. We're proving that we're up and thereabouts in Scotland, and the next level is Champions League, and we've always said that we want to start to prove ourselves on the next level, and we've always got to look to progress, and Champions League's football is something that really excites us and that we want to do well in.
No, well, it's similar type question, Joe, so apology, but just from a managerial point of view, how do you go about bridging the gap that you're talking about there? It's obviously it's the elite level competition, Arsenal, fully professional for ages. How do you get Rangers up to speed to play at that level, given the lower level that you're doing week to week?
Yeah, I think it's really important that, as Nick said previously, we can only prepare for what we're facing. Preparations have to look very different. We'll spend a lot more time in detailed moments playing against Arsenal than potentially what we would against other opponents out of possession. I think it's important we get our shape right tomorrow. As I've said, we're probably going to concede a lot of possession, and we're used to having most of the possession. So it's trying to flip our mindset, knowing that we're going to suffer at certain points, feeling that we try and replicate this as much as possible in training. We're pretty lucky that we've got a very good squad. At most times when we're fully fit, we can probably pick 2 11s, and it's really difficult to do that for me at times. So we have to utilise those players, and we have to utilise them in training days. So, as and when we can, we get out on the grass and put them in the positions where they are going to suffer, and it's not going to be as easy for them as what it may become a weekend in some circumstances.
And how do you assess Rangers' chances, honestly, against Arsenal?
Yeah, it's really difficult because you don't get to play these teams. We wanted to play these teams in pre-season, but where we link up and where we line up, we're not able to do that. WSL teams want to play you when you're in season, and sometimes if we've got 2 back-to-back away games and an Aberdeen and a Montrose, it's trying to fit a big team to play of WSL calibre midweek. It's near enough impossible. One of my first things in pre-season was I wanted to play some higher quality teams. We managed to play against Levante, from the Spanish league, which are a very, very good team. So we know what we look like against them. We know how we fare against them, where we had to concede a lot of possession and suffer without the ball. So we know where we are there and thereabouts, but when the stage time comes to it, it's ultimately what the players can go out and deliver on the pitch. And hopefully that they're in a good mindset to be able to take on board what we've done. All the good moments that we've come up against in tougher opposition in previous months and previous games, and try and bring it to the forefront and do as best as they can, because they're going to be tested the most tomorrow that they're going to have been tested in a long, long time.
Joe, you're going up against the only British women's team who have won the Champions League. The task couldn't be any more onerous, really. What's ahead of you? What are the mental challenges involved in that?
Yeah, I think that's the problem sometimes. You try and fight that mental battle because, as I said previously, what the players are kind of feeling at this moment. We can't really put Arsenal on too much of a pedestal to say that they're untouchable. They're there not to be got at, which is totally untrue. We're in a totally different position in our season. We're into our season. We've played a good few games now. Arsenal are coming off the back of pre-season. This is really early for them. So we've got to try and take advantage of these moments, and we've got to try and look at parts that we can try and hurt them. It's not all about Arsenal being up here and us being way down here and trying to catch up. It's recognising moments where we can potentially hurt them. And as I've said previously, we'll always give every single team respect and give them their due and do our due diligence and tell our players how they're going to hurt us or can hurt us. But we'll also look at the flip side of that and look at the strengths that we've got within the squad and try and give our players some confidence to say we are going to go out there and we are going to give it a real good go.
I know you referenced it just a few moments ago, but the shock that Arsenal had at this time last season must give you something to say, this isn't an invincible team, this isn't a team that this can't happen to. They don't have a given right to go and progress into the group stages of the Champions League.
Absolutely, and that's, it's tough because if you don't finish in that top spot of the league, you do get the tougher round of the draw. We've seen that ourselves, so you have to recognise that. We're at a different stage in our season, obviously. We've started, so this isn't ideal for Arsenal at any point. I think as the tie come around, you could see this group and we were like, this is the toughest group that we could have drawn. You can look at it two ways and you go, you can be defeatist about it or you can be really excited about the challenge. You obviously look at moments against Paris FC last year and see that it is doable. Paris actually went on to have a really good tournament and they're an excellent team, but probably the confidence that Paris took from that win early doors probably set them on for for the rest of the season. So we've got to look at small margins that we can try and win from and take advantage of. We do know that we're further along in our preparations in Arsenal, and they'll be trying to claw that back a little bit. So that's one area that we can try and take advantage of.
Sure. Joe, one of the aspects of your games this season been the high scoring aspect of it, which obviously gives you a bit of a difficult decision for tomorrow. How do you resolve the process going through that, who you're going to choose up front? Is that something that totally comes down to do you work with your staff? Do you talk to some of the senior players on that? Because some of these girls are doing well, but they're maybe a little bit inexperienced.
Yeah, and I think it's a combination of most of that. I think speak to my players regularly anyway. Maybe just about how they're feeling and the vibe in the camp, not necessarily on team selection. My staff are heavily involved. If it'll be myself, Hadji, Craig McPherson and Jay, that it's definitely a three-way conversation. It's never just a me that's picking the team, and it's down to that. I've very often been outvoted by those two, and I've gone with those two at the end of the day. And I think that's really important as a group of staff. So, these conversations do happen, but most important for me is training, is doing it day in, day out, and replicating what we're asking them to do. The players know that if they want to play and play regularly, they've got to perform in training. They've got to bring it day in, day out. So I know what I'm going to get from them on a Sunday or a Wednesday evening or on a Saturday, however that looks. So they've got to bring that consistency, and they've got to bring that top level consistency as well. That's what we're looking for in these players, and 9 times out of 10 that'll get them on that pitch.
Just one, Joe, please, if you would, just in terms of the mindset of your squad going into this. You mentioned not putting Arsenal on a pedestal. I imagine your squad must be absolutely ready to go for this. Like, there must be a fire in their belly, really ready to prove a lot of people wrong.
Yeah.
That Rangers are a team not to be messed with when it comes to this European League. That must be right within your players, I imagine.
Yeah, I hope so. I think you've got to find something when you step on that pitch. We absolutely give Arsenal the respect in the world. They've won this competition previously. I got close previously myself, and at Birmingham we got to a semi-final, so I know how it feels and how tough it is when you get to the latter end of the competition. But we've got to make sure that we're not starting defeated before we've even kicked a ball. We know the mentality and the mindset of sport is huge. There's a fine line between over-egging it, over-shelling it, and saying Arsenal aren't a good team, because everybody would look at me and go, you're absolutely crazy. We know they're a great team. We know they've got some outstanding players. Their attacking line is unreal at points. But if we can stand up and front up to that, bring our own level of quality, which when we shine, we do definitely shine, and we can hurt opponents. So we've got to remember those good moments. I think it's really important. We've got to know that it's going to be a hard game ahead of us, but we've also got to realise and remember that we can definitely hurt them on the other side.